I want everyone to hear this. As usual, her new book has stirred a firestorm of controversy, some of the most hostile reviews her work has ever received, and also some of the best. As Heather Malik said in the Toronto Star, I love it. I believe in giving women information, Woolf says. They're grown-ups, they have free will, and they can do what they want with it. My goal is to carve out a space for women where they feel a radical sense of self-respect. Please join me in welcoming a woman who has always been ahead of the times, Naomi Wolf.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. Thank you. I came to Kingston about 15 or 16 years ago, and it was so magical and special. It had such an evocative sense of place and community that I've never forgotten it, and I've always wanted to come back. And so I'm delighted and thrilled to be here. So tonight I'm going to be talking about how we live in a hyper-sexualized society in which there's information, quote unquote, about female sexuality in every magazine you might want to pick up. On a newsstand, you can see female sexuality commodified in all kinds of ways, you know, on pornography 24/7 at the touch of a button, coming out of every modem. It's like wallpaper. And yet, 40 years after the sexual revolution, 40 years after Sheer Height wrote the Height Report, which introduced the idea that, you know, many women, 30% of women, didn't reach orgasm during penetration alone, which was an idea that, by the way, was shocking at the time. Now, common sense. You know, 40 years after Masters and Johnson, the sexual revolution is not working for a lot of women. And in fact, the numbers are so bad that we really need to ask, has there been an effective sexual revolution for women? In North America, 30% of women report what's called hypoactive sexual desire disorder. That's a clinical term, which means low sex drive. They're not into it. It's not working for them. And as you'll learn later in the evening, female sexuality is so constituted that when women do not have rewarding sex, their bodies kind of switch off. Another 30% of women, some of these are the same women and some are different, still report that they don't reach orgasm when they want to. So the sexual revolution, you know, is obviously not fulfilling its promise to many, many, many thousands or millions of women. I had a medical crisis about 3 years ago in which I was having a symptom of loss of sexual sensation. And I was losing sexual sensation. I was also losing mind states that I had become accustomed to, especially after lovemaking. Positive mind states. And when the condition was treated and I recovered, I regained those mind states, those dimensions of perception, energy, sense of connection, enthusiasm, engagement. So I had this very kind of shocking and very immediate and personal experience that something was connected between female sexual response and the brain. I didn't know what, and I wanted to understand it. And that is what led to the journey. But we have a huge misconception about male and female sexual response dating from the 70s, the last time there was a lot of research, especially Masters and Johnson, that was widely reported on sexuality. So the misconception we have goes like this. Men and women's sexual responses are roughly the same or similar, and it's arousal, plateau, climax, resolution, and orgasm is the goal, and everyone's kind of racing to the finish, you know, with mutual timing, checking their stopwatches, right? So when you learn more about the new discoveries in female arousal and response, you see why so many women are so unhappy and so many couples are so unhappy. Because this turns out to be a gigantic fallacy, I'm sorry. A huge mistake. Men and women are very, very different in their responses, the new data show, down to the level of things as basic as their neural wiring. So what am I talking about? There are these incredible medical illustrations called netter images, and I urge you to look at them online. And when you look at the netter image of male pelvic innervation, meaning the actual nerves in the male reproductive system and genitals, basically. I'm getting more used to saying penis, penis, vagina, vagina, in public. But it's a learning curve, believe me. I had to, off the record, I had to buy a beloved family member very expensive sunglasses to compensate for the embarrassment I was causing her.